The date is May 21, 2025. Syria is once again in the headlines. U.S. Senator Marco Rubio has issued a dire warning before a U.S. Senate hearing. He stated Syria could be mere weeks away from a new full-scale civil war. The stability of the entire region hangs in the balance. Senator Rubio painted a grim picture of the current situation. The Syrian transitional government is fragile, on the verge of collapse. The potential for the country to split apart is real, creating a power vacuum. Many fear who or what might fill it. Syria had only recently seen an end to its long war, which began in 2011. The fall of Bashar al-Assad in December 2024 offered a glimmer of hope, yet, that hope now seems to be fading fast. The specter of renewed violence looms large. International observers are watching closely. The stakes could not be higher for the Syrian people. Senator Rubio's concerns are based on developing intelligence. Several destabilizing factors are pushing Syria towards the brink. The international community is now on alert. Diplomatic efforts are likely to intensify. However, the path forward is unclear. The challenges are immense. Syria's future looks more uncertain than ever. The world holds its breath, hoping to avert another catastrophe. Senator Rubio identified key threats pushing Syria toward renewed conflict. One major concern is the resurgence of the Islamic State, regaining strength in areas outside the transitional government's control. This resurgence poses a direct challenge, undermining the fragile peace. The group's ideology remains a potent force for instability. Many remember the brutality of their previous reign. Their ability to regroup signals a failure to fully eradicate the threat. They exploit ungoverned spaces and local grievances, allowing them to recruit and launch attacks. The transitional government struggles to assert its authority, creating openings for groups like ISIS. Another significant factor is Iran's influence, highlighted by Senator Rubio as a major destabilizing force. Iran's objectives often clash with regional stability, supporting factions that exacerbate tensions and fuel sectarian divisions. This influence complicates efforts towards national reconciliation. Iran's strategic goals in Syria involve projecting power across the Middle East, adding another layer to the volatile situation. These external influences work against the transitional government, making unifying Syria incredibly difficult. The government, led by Ahmed al-Sharaa, faces an uphill battle, contending with internal divisions and powerful external pressures. The combination of a resurgent ISIS and persistent Iranian meddling creates a tinderbox. A single spark could ignite a much larger fire. The international community grapples with how to counter these influences effectively. The previous Syrian civil war, beginning in March 2011, tore the country apart for over a decade. Millions were displaced and hundreds of thousands lost their lives. Cities were turned into rubble, and the conflict drew in regional and global powers. The suffering of the Syrian people was immense. In December 2024, the regime of Bashar al-Assad fell, marking the end of his family's decades-long rule. This significant shift signaled an end to that chapter of the civil war. For many Syrians, it was a moment of profound change. A new era had begun, filled with both hope and trepidation. A transitional government was then formed, headed by Ahmed al-Sharaa, a former guerrilla leader. He played a key role in the fight against Assad and now faces the daunting task of leading Syria. His government is meant to guide the country towards stability and eventually, elections. This transition is fraught with challenges. Building trust among diverse groups is paramount. Rebuilding a shattered nation requires immense resources and unity. The international community has cautiously engaged with Sharaa's government, desiring to support a peaceful transition. However, the path is anything but smooth. The legacy of war runs deep, and deep divisions remain within Syrian society. The new leadership must navigate these complex dynamics and deliver on promises of security and reform. The success or failure of this transitional period will determine Syria's fate for years to come. Recent developments in U.S. policy add another dimension. President Trump visited Saudi Arabia discussing the Middle East's future. Syria was a key topic. A major announcement was the lifting of Assad-era sanctions. These sanctions had targeted the previous Syrian regime. This signals a significant policy shift from Washington. The implications are still unfolding. Some hope it will ease economic hardship, while others worry. Trump met with Syria's new transitional president. This meeting conferred legitimacy on the new government. It suggested U.S. willingness to work with Sharaa. Support for the transitional process was likely a central theme. High-level engagement is crucial for Syria's government. The lifting of sanctions could provide economic relief. However, it also carries risks. Funds could be diverted into the wrong hands. The impact will be closely watched. Will it strengthen the transitional government, or will it fuel new conflicts? These are critical questions as Syria navigates its fragile peace. Senator Rubio's stark warning followed a disturbing series of events within Syria. Bloody attacks have targeted minority communities, heightening fears and suggesting that old wounds are far from healed. The dream of a unified, peaceful Syria is being tested. These incidents serve as grim reminders of underlying tensions. The security situation remains precarious across much of the country. The Alawite and Druze minorities have been particularly affected, facing violent assaults. These communities have a long history in Syria and have often found themselves caught in larger conflicts. The recent attacks raise concerns about sectarian violence, which could easily spiral out of control. Protecting all minority groups is a crucial test for the transitional government. Failure to do so could have devastating consequences for national unity. Further evidence of instability emerged in April 2025, with clashes erupting south of Damascus. These involved Syrian security forces and Druze fighters. The specific triggers for these clashes are complex, but they highlight the government's struggle to maintain order and assert its authority. Such incidents demonstrate that peace is not yet secure. Local grievances can quickly escalate into armed confrontations, posing a constant threat to overall stability. These internal conflicts add to the pressure on Ahmed al-Shara's government, fueling the narrative that the country is ungovernable. If these clashes spread, they could merge with other conflicts, creating a perfect storm for a new civil war. The attacks on minorities and the local uprisings show deep fault lines running through Syrian society. Addressing them requires more than just political agreements, it requires genuine reconciliation and justice. The potential collapse of Syria's transitional government is a terrifying prospect. Senator Rubio warned it could be just weeks away. If this government fails, a power vacuum will emerge, likely filled by violence. Extremist groups like ISIS would seize the opportunity. The country could fragment entirely, plunging Syria back into war. The humanitarian consequences would be catastrophic. Different regions might fall under warlords or militias, millions more displaced, death toll rising. Neighboring countries would face immense pressure. The stakes are incredibly high. The international community must act decisively. Preventing a new civil war is paramount. The alternative is a humanitarian disaster. The Syrian people have suffered enough. They deserve a chance at peace and rebuilding. The coming weeks will be crucial. The world watches, hoping that Senator Rubio's dire prophecy does not come true.